quick, man. Last thing, what you got last on your rundown for the week, bro?
We got boxing, right? So we love boxing, right? And it's mostly because Bud Terrence Crawford is from where we're from. But so what we got up is the WBA, right? Was blocking this Spence and Ugas fight, right? Excuse me. Yordanis Ugas has the WBA belt, right? And why this is important is only because we like boxing. Terrence Bud Crawford is supposedly fighting Errol Spence, but they don't want that fight to happen until Errol Spence has cleaned up all the belts on his side of the ring, right? He has two belts. He has the IBF and he has the WBC.
They pissed me off with this shit, bro.
He has the IBF and he has the WBC belt. There's two other belts. Terrence Crawford holds the WBO, and then Yordanis Ugas holds the WBA, right? At first, it was instantly like as soon as Bud beat Sean, they were like, all right, fuck it, Earl, you fight Yordanis Ugas for the WBA, and you unify, and then you can fight Bud, and then it'll be an undisputed match, right? But the WBA blocked it at first, which Ugas has that belt, and they said that Ugas needed to fight another, because how these belts work is a tough situation. Like when you are in a belt class like a WBA, they have their own ranking system, so there's top 10 guys in that class. And what they're saying is if you hold the belt, you're obligated to fight one of these top 10 guys at least once per year to keep your belt, which allows you to hold that belt. Bud has the WBO. Yordanis has the WBA, but what they said is, there's two other fights that you need to fight because these guys have been mandatories for a few years now. You haven't fight them. But typically with boxing, if it's a unification bout, which means that you're fighting for more than one belt, which you unify, that trumps a mandatory fight. So in each class, you have mandatory fights each year. Yordanis Ugas had two mandatories. They initially blocked it for for the Spence. They weren't gonna let Yordanis Ugas and Spence fight to unify. But now they're saying after that Jake Paul fight, literally right after the Jake Paul fight, you didn't see that fight. It was a very funny fight. There was some good undercards. You had Darren Williams on the undercard, Jake Paul knocking the guy out on the main card. Super good fight. But that night they announced that the WBA was going to allow Spence to fight Ugas for the unification, right? So then whoever wins that would hold three belts, and then the fourth belt is Bud. So whoever holds that has to fight Bud, right?
Man, that's just too much, bro.
No, I mean
they just try. At this point, I'm kind of convinced like they confused. Like,
no,
they stay confused.
No, you got to follow boxing. So with boxing,
I do. I'm just like.
And there's another big thing about that is they're trying to petition now for all boxers to basically vacate their WBC belt because what the WBC did, and I'm not gonna get into it, but it was a whole bunch of shit. What they did with Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, that whole weight class with Lomachenko, they allowed Teofimo Lopez to be undisputed at that weight class when Devin Haney actually really held the real WBC belt. So they all petitioned it. Actually, literally within hours ago, Tyson Fury, which he's undisputed at his weight class, he actually vacated his WBC belt. So what they're trying to do is have all the boxers basically say, we don't care about these belts. Like WBC, you're not
trying to like boycott it.
Yeah, they're like, we don't consider, like, we don't want that belt does not consider me unified or undisputed. I can be undisputed with WBO, WBA, and IBF. I don't need WBC to be unified. So that's what they're trying to do with that. But all I said that is to say
that's the green belt, right?
That's the green belt.
That's the green belt.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's the green one with like the black.
It's green,
green with gold.
So how it started is it started with WBA was the very first belt. Then it went to IBF, WBO, and then WBC. So WBA. So think about it like this: NBA, National Basketball Association. WBA, World Boxing Association. Right. So that was the first one. That was the very first one, and that's just how it worked. And then it went IBF, then WBO. And then WBC and WBO they say is like the one to get, and that's why Bud always goes for the WBO, and he's been the WBO title. He always holds that as he goes up in belts since 30. He kept the WBO because what that one does is it allows you to be the mandatory for the WBO when you move up. So if Bud moves up to 154, he's automatically the mandatory fight for that WBO.
Shout out to my man Crawford and the Team Crawford, baby.
So another option he had when he came up to 147 is he had the option to fight for the IBF belt, which would have been the Spence fight. So instead of taking the Jeff Horn fight, they wanted him to take the Spence fight because he would have been the mandatory for IBF. But he's like, nobody cares about the IBF belt. Why would I go up and fight Spence, who's #1 at this division, for this IBF belt, and don't nobody care about the IBF belt? I'm gonna go up and fight Jeff Horn for this WBO. So now every time I move up, I'm automatically the mandatory for WBO. But that was another interesting take I thought was interesting this week. Is WBA is gonna allow the Spence Ugas fight, which should lead into the Terence Crawford fight. But before that, we got the Keith Thurman fight, which I can talk about differently at a different time. But
once we see them papers be signed, we can talk about that for sure.
Thurman is actually going to fight Barreros on February 5th. So that's going to be his tune-up fight for the Bud fight. So February 5th, he's supposed to fight, I think it's Mario Barreros for the just no belt at 147. And
so when you think we'll probably then
in July
that fight?
So he told Bud, I need 8 months. Give me 8 months to fight you. And he said this a few months ago.
Right.
So he's thinking he's going to fight this fight in February and then be ready for Bud in July. So that's when we should see the Thurman Bud fight. But
showdown.
Don't you think it's funny how everybody wants to fight Terence now, but 3 years ago you can go on YouTube
and nobody wanted to fight. Well, they have to fight him at this point.
Yeah, they have to because he's always been the man. Now they're recognizing it.
Well, he beat everybody that they beat. But that's
the only person he didn't fight was Manny.
Yeah, that's another topic for another day. But thank y'all for tuning in to the weekly rundown or the rundown, however you want to
present it to you by Weekly Mood Media. Yeah,
appreciate it.
We'll see you guys again next time. Appreciate it.
We out.